So, who do you trust and how does that fuel your energy? My name is Joyce Odidison, host of the Resilience Catalyst Show, and today we're going to talk about how trust can fuel burnout. We talk about resilience. We talk about the things that build your resilience. We talk about the things that will improve your resilience. But we are seeing more signs of burnout. And we know resilience is the antidote for burnout. So, welcome to today's Resilience Catalyst Show. My name is Joyce Odidison, your host, and today we're going to unpack the silent killer of our resilience, burnout. Burnout is a silent killer of resilience. And most of you know I develop, design, and teach the 9 dimensional well being intelligence system. And we focus on how our wellness impacts our resilience. So we do a focus step by step, and we're looking at the intelligence that we're getting from these 9 dimensions and how they help us to build our resilience, stop leaking vital energy. So today we're going to talk about trust, because trust is something that we all need. Just think about trust. Think about who you trust right now and just anchor it in your body. Where does it feel? Where do you feel trust? Where do you feel that sense of trust? How does it make you feel? What kind of energy does trust bring to your life or create, or you just bask in a certain energy when there's trust in your life? Because trust is vital. It's so important for us to feel safe in our relationship. So when trust is overlooked, burnout rate goes up. And there's some research. Actually, research shows that only 32% of employees say that they trust their organization's leadership. Now, that makes me think like, hmm, what is that telling us? It's like, really? And then it says less than half believe they work in a genuine culture of trust. Now, more than a feeling, trust is action as well. There are certain things that need to happen for us to feel that we have trust or we don't have trust. And when we have low trust, we start to feel uneasy. And it's interesting because this month, so today's the last day of September. And in September, we focus on interpersonal, the whole interpersonal relationship. We cover things like relationship with yourself and others. We delve deeper. So this month, we focus on conflict. We focus on trust. We talk about collaboration. Uh, all of these conflict management, those are all part of that interpersonal dynamics that we teach in that whole 9 dimensional framework that we use to look at the whole person. Because wait, when you hire someone to your organization, you hire them into your business, you're hiring the whole person. They don't just show up, okay, you're hiring my arm, I'm using my arm to do this, you're only going to hire my arm. It doesn't work that way. You hire the whole person. If they're just using their legs, maybe they're using their legs. You don't just hire their legs, you hire the whole person. And you know what? People come with their drama, they come with their stories, they come with their history. And it's all about how that is integrated into the relationship, into the organization, into our communication, how we show respect for each other. That's how trust is going to be built. So trust is not something we have a magic wand and I'm gonna send trust here. No, it has to be felt. It has to be experienced. What if you have a coworker and you every time you talk to them, they don't hear quite what you say, and you feel like they're not listening to you, so they're not fully understanding your request and your communication. How would that make you feel? Really great and excited to go talk to that person? Really assured that they're going to understand you and execute on your communication? Right? No, right? because there are all these little nuances that makes up trust. So as a leader, if you are in your team and someone has made a request and you told them, oh, well, I am going to respond to that request, but you never does. You never give a reason why. You never apologize. What are they going to think? That, oh, I have such a attentive leader. He's so considerate. He's so observant, right? No, it's the opposite. So trust requires a certain behavior, certain actions. And when that doesn't happen, we start to see the challenge. So could trust be missing in other areas of your life? Could it be determined in how we burn out? Can we see that in how we work and how we live with others? I have some notes and we're going to talk about why low trust fuels burnout. So let's spend some time. I have some research here and it talks about the job demands resource model. It tells us burnout happens when demands outweighs resources. So the demand for time could outweigh time as a resource, right? Because anything that is a resource and there is a demand for it, but the demand outweighs the resource, now we have a tug of war, we have to challenge, right? Because now time is a resource, but the demand for time and all the things that needs to go into that time just keep expanding. So something has to happen. How do we find the time for that resource? How do we expand that resource? How do we share it? That's one of the challenges many leaders face. Like Joyce, we're doing more with less. We're asking our people to do more. And so it's important for us to think about that. And I wanted to share with you some notes that I picked up. And it says there are three ways that trust builds resilience. And I want to share those with you. So the first one is psychological safety. What happens when we feel psychological safety? Right? So psychological. I am killing the word. Guess my dyslexia is showing up here. PSY. Safety. Well, if it's not spelled right, it's my eyes is not seeing it right. Psychological safety, PSYCH. Energy and collaboration. Well, let's talk about the first one. This is the one, this is the two, then we'll talk about the third one. I don't want to get you too far ahead. So the question I have for you is, where have you seen trust being an issue for you? So the question I have for you is, who do you trust, and how does it fuel your energy? So go ahead and ask yourself, when we say trust builds psychological safety, there was a study done in 2022. So that would be 2 years after COVID starts. And it shows how leaders who are authentic can work building trust in their team because people feel they were real. So if I brought you someone who's fake, would you trust that person? No, you want authenticity. You want somebody who is real. You want somebody who will be vulnerable. You want somebody you can trust to be themselves and someone who's going to keep their word. When they say something to you, they're going to keep it. And for me, I know for myself, I think we all have our levels of trustworthiness that we will tolerate. For me, if you tell me sorry, okay, after a while I'm going to be like, okay, you're sorry one, two, three, four, five times. So tell me about the sorry. What does sorry mean for you? I need someone to be able to tell me something and keep their words. There's nothing more insecure than when someone tells you they're going to do something, or they're going to deliver something, or they have done something, and then to find out that it's not done. So if you're part of a team and you're not keeping your word, right? Keeping your word. Oh my word. That is so important. Trust breaks down because there's too much ambiguity. Things are not, if people need to be able to depend on your word. It's your honor to keep your word, it's your character. When you're not keeping your word, it creates insecurity in the mind of those who are working with you as part of your team. As a leader, of course, you have to keep your word. That will really affect your entire team, right? It's really keeping your team off guard, off centered, displaced, mentally displaced when you're not keeping your word. People are wondering, oh, what's going to change? Are things going to stay the same? What do we expect? What's going to happen? What might be the outcome? So, as a leader, you have an amazing responsibility and opportunity to keep your word. So, when we talk about it, it really, what it does, it depletes energy, it creates anxiety. Anxiety, especially when there are deadlines and people are expecting, team members are expecting your work to impact their work and the next piece and the next piece, and then you can't keep your word. It's creating anxiety and trust depletes, right? Then people become guarded. Guarded meaning they will find other ways to protect themselves from you because you've let them down so much. And there are times when I go into a team and we're doing a team recovery. And a big part of that is people don't feel that they can trust each other on the team. There is nothing more insecure on a team like when you can't trust your team members. And I do a whole series in the 90-day Team Resilience Accelerator where we put the team through the process of how to be authentic with each other, how to be vulnerable with each other. Because part of being a team is knowing that you're dependent on the other person. What the person does impacts you. So there is already some vulnerability. We just need to identify it and say, yeah, it's there. Let me acknowledge it. Because when you don't acknowledge it, it's like that elephant in the room. So it's critical for you to be able to keep your word so people are no longer guarded. People start not depending on you, right? Because they can't trust you. They don't know if you're going to be there. And it just shifts the energy. When there is no trust, the relationship breaks down and people guard goes up. And the next thing that impacts is your communication. So communication goes down. And this is where energy and collaboration comes in. Because what happens? Low trust means energy leaks. When we're having energy leaks, guess what? Guess what your team members are saying? Oh, that Joyce again, right? You can depend on her. Did she tell you something that she wasn't going to do? She was going to do that she didn't do. Was she disappointing again? Did she disappoint you? Did she not show up for that meeting that she planned? Oh, yeah, that happens too, right? Plan a meeting, get everybody hyped up, and not showing up, right? So a lot of that happens. I mean, there are times things happen. I mean, we had a webinar, I think of that was in the spring, right? We're running a webinar and everything crashed just before the webinar. I had to go back and tell people, I am so sorry. Technology, we couldn't get it. We couldn't get on air. So that's different. But if I do that every single time, then there's something. They're like, okay. I mean, everybody can have technology problem. Google have technology problem, right? That can happen. But when every day there is a place I go to um in the city, and every a couple times a month they claim that their machine isn't working, their debit machine isn't working, and they have their own Interact machine that you should go and withdraw cash, because they get a percentage when you withdraw the cash, and then of course it's cash, they don't have any transaction fee. So it's looking a bit suspicious. I haven't said anything to everyone, but I was like, this is a little weird. How comes? I mean, those of us who have business, we have Interact machine, we have debit machines. Do they go down twice a month or three times a month? No, right? So this is this doesn't happen. And you said, I was like, what is going on here? So your clients can't trust that they would be able to pay by debit because they don't know if your machine is going to work today. So I found myself there. I was like, oh, I want to go. I was like, I wonder if their machine is working. And I was like, oh my, that's an odd thought. Because it happened so many times. And now my brain is telling me, oh, be careful. This may be something you have to look out for. This is what happens in our team when trust is low, right? That low trust or no trust, right? That could be no trust, right? So it could be one or the other. Do we have trust or we don't, right? Low trust or no trust can cause the same issue. We talk about energy leaks. So what we see happening in people are spending time guessing, second guessing. Well, just in case I need to I need a contingency plan. So instead of me preparing for our meeting and preparing for us to execute, I'm now taking energy to now create a contingency plan just in case that team member doesn't show up, or that person lets me down or doesn't fulfill their promise. So that's an energy leak. That's taking resilience out of energy, because you need energy, and resilience goes hand in hand. No energy, no resilience. So every time you're leaking vital energy, you are reducing your capacity for resilience, mentally, emotionally, physically, right? So what we find happen is, so we have the depletion of energy, we have people second guessing, we have people protecting themselves. Well, just in case, I better protect myself because my colleague said this, but I want us to put this in effect just in case. So you see what happens? So our brain have to think of two things, and we're wasting energy. The third one is adaptability and commitment, right? Let's bring this down. Give ourselves a little bit more space here. And commitment. And why is this important? Research shows that trust in superiors predict organizational commitment, and burnout mediates the relationship. So, wow, when people trust their leaders, they are able to be more committed to the organization. So, commitment. So let me ask you, would you marry somebody you can't trust? You wouldn't, right? You wouldn't want to tie yourself on to somebody you can't trust, because doing that would be to put yourself in jeopardy, right? I once worked with a team where employees no longer trusted each other. And they were, well, not just one, but several teams, but we're going to talk about this one particular one. And one of the things that stopped was commitment and collaboration. Nobody wanted to commit to anything. Oh, well, even when we started to get the team back together, and just something simple as let's get back together and have team meetings, nobody wanted to, because what they said, Joyce, it would just die again. Our energy is going to be wasted. We will do that while you're here, but after you leave, it won't continue. So there is that fear of commitment. There is that fear of failure. That it it brings an awful taste and an essence to everything that you do when you have those things happening on your team, because it's just it's not part of how work should occur. Getting people to even communicate, that's another thing. That's one of the biggest ones. So often when I go in, there's a conflict and people are not talking to each other. And so I ask, why are people not talking? Well, when you say something around here, it might be taken the wrong way and you might get in trouble for what you didn't even say. Right? So when we spoke about psychological safety, part of psychological safety is that people should feel safe to share their thoughts, to share their ideas, and not feel that they're going to be penalized or mistreated. But when we lack psychological safety, communication breaks down. The reason why it breaks down is because people either don't keep their word or people get misunderstood, right? Misunderstanding. So when that happens, we start to see that fear, that uncertainty, that lack of commitment to participate in the process, to be part of what's going on. So when you start to see, when I get called in and say, Joyce, we have low morale, or nobody's talking, or communication is really poor, we need a communication training, I'll say no. What we need to do is find out what is going on. We need to find out which of these elements. So this is why we go so granular, because for years and years, we were going in and we were just doing, oh, let's build trust. But why is trust breaking down? Where did the trust go? Was it there in the first place? Did it just, woof, magic wand and it disappeared? When we don't ask the right questions, we're just dancing around. We're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and we're hoping something stick. If your team members aren't speaking to each other, well, you need to find out why. If there's poor communication or low communication. Because one of the things we come in and we look at, attending is one of the ones. We're not talking about attending this month. We focus on it in when we focus on the whole communication and social. But it does affect what's going on here, because if nobody's paying attention, then I can communicate all I want, but it's not going to make a difference because nobody is paying attention to me. We don't know how to listen to each other. We don't respect each other. So then there is no psychological safety. And there will be a lot of misunderstanding. And there might even be lack of grace because I don't know you well enough. I don't care enough. So I won't give you the benefit of the doubt. I won't say, well, maybe she was just taught this. I'm going to think the opposite. Maybe something worse than what you would have done. So it's important for us to pay attention to those pieces because they have a huge impact on the trust in your organization. But the real cost is the burnout. So people are not burning out because work is hard, because they have, I mean, yes, we can have too much work. We talk about resources, right? And time. You don't have enough time to do all the work. But it's not just that, it's all the other junk that people have to put up with. People not keeping their word, the anxiety, having to guard themselves. They call it cover my butt. I've heard that word so many times. You gotta cover your butt around here, Joyce. Right? They're busy covering their butt. All of this takes energy. Your brain have to tell you, okay, protect yourself. Oh, what is this? Just like I was saying to you, the place where the client, the place where I go, my brain is now telling me, oh, your machine might not be working for you to pay by Interact because this happened so many times. It was inconveniencing. So our brain remembers that and it stores that. So when somebody doesn't keep their word, when somebody tells you that they're going to do something and they don't show up, when you have that anxiety, that stress, and now you need to find contingency plan, you need to protect yourself just in case that person doesn't come true, and then you find that's a huge energy leak. That's taking so much more energy. And then adaptability and commitment, right? This makes people more resistant to change because they don't know what to expect. Change resistant. Sometimes when I go in to an organization, they're like, oh, people are in conflict because there was a change coming up and they don't like the change. They're not liking the change because they already didn't have consistency. They already lack trust. If you trust your leader and your leader says, okay, we're going to go through a change, you trust your leader because you know you have an amazing leader that's going to walk with you through the process. But if you don't trust your leader and then your leader wants to change, of course you're going to have anxiety. Well, what next? Oh my gosh, what now? How is that going to impact me? Right? Are we going to fall flat on your face? Are they setting me up? Sometimes the employees say to me like, oh, I don't know about this. They must be setting me up. But I was like, what do you mean your leaders are setting you up for failure? But that's what the brain does when there is no security, because we need trust is part of our security. We feel secure when there is trust. Our brain can rest. You see, the brain is always looking to protect us. The job of the brain is to identify safety for us, friend or foe. Is this going to harm us, or is this going to make my life easy, pleasant, and happy? If your brain suspects in any way possible that this is going to make your life miserable, you're going to feel insecure. Your brain's job is for your security. So when your employees are at work and they don't feel secure, they don't feel that they can trust their boss, security goes down. And so they become more resistant to change. And so we have to go through that process. Or your team is failing because there's no trust, there is no communication, there's poor teamwork, there's poor collaboration, there is conflict, people are fighting, nobody is getting along, they're not working together. You need to go in and ask, where did things break down? What is the problem? You see, one of the things that we do with the well-being intelligence system, we created the resilience diagnostic. So we're looking at these wellness elements and how do they correlate with resilience? Because we know resilience is energy and everything is energy. I am energy, you're energy. Everything around us is energy. But there's good energy, positive energy, and then there is negative energy, right? Negative energy weighs us down, drags us down, detracts from our resilience. Positive energy pulls us up, lifts us up, make us more resilient, more hopeful, more optimistic, more vibrant, makes us more energetic. And when our brain identifies the source of the negative energy, then all these things are going to come around to protect us. So, what we do is look at all of these elements and we start to identify how people are responding because we do that at a subconscious level. You see, I am subconsciously guarding myself. I am anxious. That is all happening. I may not even recognize that I'm anxious. That's all happening subconsciously. Guess who's paying attention? The brain is paying attention. Oh, I'm anxious. What is making me anxious? Okay, that makes me anxious. I don't have to consciously acknowledge that I'm anxious because of this, but my brain knows. Then I'm guarded. So the next time you come around, I'm guarded, right? So all of these little things we're not paying attention to, but that's where the leak is going, and that's where the energy leak is happening, and that's where the burnout is happening, and it's gradually happening, and then to the point where I'm burnt out. I'm burnt out from work because work is not the only element. We have 9 dimensions in our lives. Work is just one dimension. And if what's happening at work, there's such low trust and it's bringing so much negative energy, then I burn out because I'm compensating. I'm using all my positive energy to compensate for that. So when we do the resilience index in all the 9 dimensions, we get to see how well we're doing. And we get to see what's adding and what's detracting from our resilience in each dimension. And then we get to make good decisions. Then we can say, okay, I can fix this. I can fix this. I need help there. We can do that. And we get to do it for the whole organization. You can do it for your entire team and get a big map looking at this is what's happening in my team. This is where the energy leaks are. And these are the things we need to do. Otherwise, we're just throwing spaghetti at the wall. So this is why I want to invite you to join me for the Resilience Index Challenge coming up on October 16th. If you're not registered, we only have 50 assessment spots available. So you're going to get invited into the Resilience Index assessment, and you're going to be able to take one assessment. You're going to do one dimension. We're only going to do a short assessment. It's over lunchtime. It's going to be a challenge. And through there, once you get your report that shows you, everyone gets their own individual personalized report, then you have to be in the challenge to get the link. And when you're in the challenge, you get the link, you complete it there, you get your own report in your or whatever you're using, a tablet or you're using a smartphone, you get your report there. And then you're able to see what your results are. And then we're going to do a deep dive into the various elements of it. We're going to look at the resilience index. We're going to look at the resilience competencies, right? The competencies and the skills. We're going to break it down even further and look at the skills of resilience for you based on your assessment. And then from there, you're going to be able to identify what your dominant ones are, what areas you need to fix this week, next month, the next quarter. What are some goals you can make for yourself? Set for yourself so you can build your resilience. Because otherwise, we just keep burning out and we don't know why. Joyce, I'm doing everything, but I just have low energy. I'm doing all of these things. I show up, I work out, I eat well, or whatever I'm doing. It's not moving the needle on my resilience, on my energy, I'm still burning out. I still feel like I'm burning the candle on both ends. And I've been there. I know what that feels like. But it's important for you to know what that is like and to make the decision. So go ahead. I'm going to put the QR code here. I've put the link there already where you can go and register. We only have these many spots. This is going to be a life challenge you're going to do. My goal is to help everyone who wants to understand how they can build resilience, and what depletes their resilience is the opportunity to go through there and see how important is this for you, and how you can stop leaking vital energy, because we only have one pocket of energy. You're one ball of energy, and when it's expired, you're expired on the planet. Why not protect it? Why not use it on the things that are most meaningful, most important for you, so when it ends, you can be happy knowing that you ended it well. You've done the things that you meant to do, the things that were important to you, and you're able to stop those leaks. Because too many of us are burning out. Too many of us are getting sick. Too many of us are getting strange diseases because we have energy leaks happening in all these places. It's like we're like a ship in the ocean with all these holes, and we don't know how to stop it. So we need to stop the energy leak so we can be more vital, we can be more resilient, we can live more meaningful and more impactful. Thank you for being here and being part of the show today. If you're seeing burnout creeping in on your team, start by asking what's the trust gap and what energy leak is causing this in your team. And the next step is to get a resilience index for your team, for yourself, whether you're a leader, whether you're a professional. We're living in a time where our mental health is in crisis. Our health is in crisis. We're living in one of the most tumultuous times. And every generation say that, but this is our time in this generation. And we need all the help we can for us to stay healthy and well. Joyce Odidison here. Thanks for joining in and watching. If you watch this on the replay and you have a question or you have a comment, leave it in the show notes. I will be responding to them. And thanks for being here and participating and looking at the show. Those of you on YouTube and Facebook and LinkedIn, thanks for being here. Bye now.